The red, white, blue flying way up high, and we stand and salute to the ones that fight, and we don't give a damn if you don't like this American pride, American pride. We're gonna fly this flag till the day I die. 'Cause free. Hey, Chief, welcome back to the sunny side of freedom.
What's up?
What's up? Hey, I'm super excited to have you here today because I really want our viewers to hear what we went through last week with All American Heroes Foundation. We survived, and here we are like a week later recapping.
Still alive to tell the story. Holy smokes. It's been a week, huh? Ooh,
Yeah. A week ago today, we were like kind of broken.
true. That is true.
So I wanted our viewers to hear about not only All American Heroes Foundation, big shout out to them and everything they're doing, especially Aaron McCarthy, Mac. Whoop whoop.
What's up, Mac? Shout
Um,
out, Mac.
much shout out, Mac. Much love to you, my friend. Um, but I wanted them to really get an idea of what it was like for us out there. And I had the privilege of meeting you. We got to spend some time out there on that Laramie mountain.
Yeah,
But
out at Albany Lodge, Laramie, Wyoming. What a great place. And also shout out to them. But yeah, what a great
Mhm.
foundation with All American Heroes. And what a great thing that they're doing for folks. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So from what I
Yeah.
remember, we pulled up to Albany Lodge and went in, and I think you'd messaged Mac to let him know that we'd arrived, and he came out to meet us, and yeah, just like he is in real life, like he is on TikTok, it's just one and the same, and that was kind of a common theme that I found because we met up with our good buddy Toby and you. But shout out to Toby. He really, for me, broke the ice that first night. We had arrived, we met Mac, we went in to the back room that they'd had reserved for us at Albany Lodge, and Toby was just kind of telling his story about how he arrived and kind of wore his shoes out walking around Denver Airport. Got to make some friends in there because he'd passed by him so many times they knew him by name. So he really set the tone and kind of made it a little bit lighthearted that first night. And it was a lot to take in. I certainly didn't remember everyone's first name at the end of the first night, and I certainly didn't really get a good feel for what we were going to experience the next day. But that's kind of what I recall from just meeting up that first night.
Yeah, most definitely. We walked in. It was awesome to first of all, just meet Mac. And I think the first question he said is, "I am the same, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're the same Mac."
Yeah.
And I think, just even kicking it off, meeting you, you're the same person that I've interacted with on the TikTok platform. Toby is the same person I've interacted with on the TikTok platform, and Mac. So right away, it was just kind of unreal. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're all in the same room, and that was super cool. And of course, a lot of new faces and trying to remember everyone's names. And then I was obviously introduced to the, as I call them now, the Badass Flying Squirrels, the women's group.
The baddies. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely made it into the baddies group, I'll tell you that. And they were super awesome. What a great bunch of women, I'll tell you. And then as we got to know everyone through day one, let's talk about day one because we had no idea what we were going into, did we?
Not at all. Day one, the volunteer men had decided to cook breakfast for everyone. So I think we all kind of just walked down to their cabin, which was just below where everybody else was staying. And, they made some scrambled eggs, bacon, biscuits, gravy, the whole thing, had some fruit out for us, water, sandwiches for the day. And we all kind of munched and, shot the shit a little bit. And then we did our briefing, a miniature avalanche training that Cody had provided. And he
Yeah.
had one of the most interesting jobs I'd ever heard for the sheriff's department. Like where I'm from, the sheriff's department has like, some river police and lake police for boats. But there with the mountains and the snow, they actually have snowmobile police. And I talked to him a little bit about that job, and it's a lot of search and rescue. And so to me, that's just crazy. It makes me think of that movie Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, where he's climbing up and they have all these guys on snowmobiles. Make it look so easy. But
No
anyways,
kidding.
yeah, he did that briefing for us just to kind of let us know what to look out for and what the risks were. and kind of then we broke out into our groups, and they kind of split us up into the ladies and the men's group. I think that was it, right? Just two that first day.
Yeah, that first day, how it started off and how it started off for me, it was really interesting because, and for you, we hadn't ridden these machines before. I know I hadn't ridden this big machine before, and it was super powerful. And we come outside the cabin, and I'm getting a little bit of an intro with Trey. And he's like, all right, we're just going to go around this 3 times, and then we'll head up the hill and we'll get on the mountain. And sure enough, there I was, round 2, and I lost control. The snow machine went one way, and I slid another way, and got the wind knocked out of me pretty good, and had a moment with myself, like, is this what I'm going to be doing? Oh my goodness, I got my butt kicked even before I got on the mountain. And I was like, okay, I'm getting back on. And I went around another time. I was like, all right, just breathe. And I did feel like I was in good hands. The instructors, you just had a sense that you're in good hands with them. So I think we put our faith into them right away. Like, all right, let's do this.
For sure, for sure. And I remember when I got issued my snow machine as well. Shout out to Zach at Albany Lodge. He was just such a friendly dude, and it's a big machine. And I'm used to riding. You know, I have a side by side. I've drove motorcycles, dirt bikes, crotch rockets, cruisers. Now I have a Harley. I've rode my whole life, at least for the last 30 years. And so I thought, you know, I'm pretty familiar with machines, but I'm like, how do you even put this thing in reverse? You know, which, you know, you don't use that very often on it, but I do remember getting on there and going, man, it's an 850. And I think the biggest machine that they make now, right now anyways, is like a 950. But I think the machines that they gave us were the biggest machines they'd had at the lodge. So I definitely respected that, you know, because I knew it had a ton of power and it was heavy. You know, I'm like driving the Gold Wing, I feel like, of snowmobiles at that point.
For me, it was definitely like, whoa, what is happening? Super powerful. Never been on it. And the same thing with the reverse. I'm like, okay, the little yellow button.
Yeah, and it didn't say reverse on it. It said something else,
No.
some different language, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. But
So I think from day one, from the very moment that we actually got on the machine, it became an experience right away. Teaching moments, just getting a feel for everyone. What is this going to be like? And I just remember getting up to the top of the mountain finally with Trey, and Kristen was actually with me, one of the ladies from the group. And we got up there. I see all of you ready to rock and roll. I'm like, all right, let's do this. What are we doing? And we just started following one another. That's what I remember, just following one another through the trail. So much happened that day one that I'm hoping you'll help me keep it in a good sequence because it was a full day.
it really was. And even some of it was a blur. But hell, even before we got to the top of the mountain, we started to go up, and we were going up the snow trail, and it's pretty cleared and packed down from so many snow machines running over it. It's kind of like ice, and so it's pretty easy to navigate your way across that unless you get your track, you know, in some ice grooves, and it kind of pulls you around. But it's not bad. It's not really that bad. But I remember on the way up there, we had a slight turn right, and I didn't, you know, go through the tracks. I got in a little bit of deep snow just off the bat, and I got buried. And I was like, oh shit. Like, it was so easy up to that point. I'm ready to go fast. I'm ready to jump and ramp and be awesome. But then we turn and I'm in just a little bit of snow. I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing now. And so, yeah, I was scared right off the bat. Like, oh shit. Like, hopefully we're not doing this. You know, hopefully I did a no-no and I'm not supposed to be in this stuff. I need to stay on these trails. But little did I know that there was a lot more of that coming up.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was probably a few behind you, and I saw you get stuck there. I had no idea what I was headed into. I was like, let me stay right here.
You thought I would have got an award for first one stuck.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was supposed to get stuck at this point. We hadn't received lesson yet. Like, they were expecting everybody to stay on, you know, on the trail. Not this guy, not Chief. Nope, he's stuck right off the bat.
Stuck right off the bat. You know, for our viewers, I also want to mention there was a snowstorm the day before. So there was fresh powder, like 4 feet. Was it like 4 feet the day before?
There was at least 4 feet on the mountaintop. Yeah, I mean, driving in, it didn't seem too bad. We got up to the lodge, and I noticed that they had run the snowplow through, and I looked at some of the cabins, and there was snow up to the middle of the window of the cabin. So yeah, they got 4 feet of snow. I think 8 feet in other areas. Plus there were some drifts. But yeah, it was still cold, so the snow hadn't had time to settle. It was just powder at that point, and
Yeah.
a lot of it, you know.
And I think for us, you know, when you're coming into a plowed road, yeah, there's a little snow. You don't really realize what you're about to get into, which is the unplowed, unpacked down snow. And that's where we started to really get a quick wake up call as to where we were and what we were about to encounter.
100%. Yeah. For me, like after that, I got stuck, and then, you know, the men's group kind of took off. And so I had a big shout out to James from Arrowhead Lodge. He was there to kind of help me out, get out of that one, and let me know what was getting ready to come up. You know, a lot of lean into this, turn this way, prop this way. And so finally I got out back onto the road and came back down the way I should have done in the first place. And in that moment, I realized, like, I'm not going to be cool at all for now. I'm just going to follow everybody. I'm going to, I'm going to watch what's going on in front of me and make sure I don't get stuck again, because that sucked. And so from that point, we kind of, you know, wrapped our way up another trail to this heating lodge that was up there, just a little building at the top of the mountain. Beautiful view.
Mm-hmm.
And it, you know, we saw a lot of traffic through there. That's kind of like a hub. I think you can go from trail to trail and then stop there, warm up, and go on your way. But we kind of used that time to do lunch. Um, yeah, I mean, and even getting up there wasn't very easy. You know, I think on the way up there, we stopped a couple times and watched some of the pros, you know, play around in the snow to cool off their machines. And I just kind of stayed on the trail. But I do remember one time I was going down and I hit the brake, and those things stop fast. You would
Really?
think that if you're on ice or snow or whatever, it wouldn't, but yeah, it stopped so fast that I projectile launched off the front, did a scorpion, Max said, but I thought I did a pretty cool flip.
I saw
But
that too. Quick
yeah,
recovery.
I mean, 7 out of 10, solid 7 out of 10, I thought.
Nice
But
landing.
thank you. Yep, nothing hurt because deep snow. You know, I landed in it, and I was like, that was nice. That was better
Yeah,
than landing on cement for sure.
for
But
sure.
yeah, it was, you know, there was a lot of challenge. And then you know, it really wears you out, because just even driving down the road, you're muscling it, right? You don't know. This is our first time ever. You don't know how to properly lean in and lean out and
Mm-hmm.
when to throttle. So we're kind of using a lot of muscle just to kind of just manhandle the machine around. And so yeah, it wasn't bad, but you know, we had layers on as well, because I was, you know, it's 32 degrees. I'm used to hiking and stuff like that outdoors, even in the cold, and so I wear layers, and I don't feel like I overdressed, but with that snowsuit on, it really got warm in there, and then as the elevation changed as well, you know, I think we're up to 9,500 foot
Yeah.
elevation. Even where we stayed was 8,300 foot
Right.
elevation, but up there, you feel that 1,000 foot or that 1,200 foot elevation change really makes a significant difference in your breathing. Is something I noticed. I would be a little shorter of breath, and then you know. Anyways, once we got to the
Yeah.
meadows, that really changed things too. But
You mean
I'll
the
stop
meadows of
there.
hell?
Oh,
The meadows of
yeah.
hell, as I call them. And you're right, the trail wasn't bad. I actually felt like, all right, I'm kind of cool. I'm still on the trail, you know, just had to focus and the machine and operating the machine, and definitely having to use the throttle and get a taste for that. Like, okay, going too fast. And I think I got whiplash actually the first day from a lot of that, you know. But once we got to the meadows, that was a whole new ball game. It was like, what did I sign up for?
Yeah, nothing in the world is going to prepare you for that, especially in power sports. Like I said, I've done the dirt bikes, I've done crotch rockets,
Mm-hmm.
I've driven long distance, and I've done crazy terrains, but not in snow. You know what I mean? So yeah, once we hit those meadows, I know that the Urals group took off and went beyond where we were practicing. So it, like, we came down and there was this big open area, and you all had left, and we had James and Rick as our lead at this point, and they were with the guys that this was our first day, so it was myself, Bo, and Toby, And so what I remember was after everyone left, James was like, "It's time to get serious." And we took off down there, and he's like, "Just ride around and familiarize yourself, and just remember what I told you just now before I let you go into this." And it's, dip, dive, dodge, and dip, or whatever. But oh, that's dodgeball. Close enough. But we go down in there, and the second I left some tracks in the meadow, I was buried in 4 foot of
Hmm.
snow. The machine was buried in 4 foot of snow, and I was like, "How the hell do you not do this?" And they're like, "Well, don't go too fast, don't go too slow, don't throttle too
Yep.
much, but you got to throttle just right." And I'm like, "Okay." So this happens to me over and over again. The meadow's humongous, but I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to effing turn.
You
I
weren't
couldn't
alone.
do it. I couldn't do it. And so James and Rick would come help me get me unstuck, and they'd be like, "All right, just turn it around." And I can't do it. I can't turn around. So I tried. I really did try so hard. And then I would get close to trees. And, the trick to that is you're supposed to steer it towards the tree, throttle it, get balanced up, and go. But if I'm coming at a tree, I don't want to turn in towards it, because I feel like that's going to make me really for sure hit it. And then I'm going to screw something up, which I didn't. I never did break anything on the damn machine, but it
Mhm.
after I'm not even. I'm gonna sum it up like this. After an hour of that, I would ride for 15 seconds, get stuck, spend a few minutes getting out, ride, get stuck, and then at one point I had ridden down farther in the meadow where, like way down there, probably like 500 yards away because I was going straight. I could go straight fine. I can't turn. So I get down there and I try to turn around because now I'm ending, like the meadow's about to end and I don't want to be in the trees. And so I tried to turn and I'm going towards the creek and then I get stuck again because I tried to turn. And I remember I took my helmet off and it instantly fell into the snow, my goggles, and it got packed full. And so I pick it up. I'm like, shit, now it's going to be all blurry again. I don't have my towel to clean it up, but I'm just so exhausted at this point because I've been getting stuck every couple, like, it didn't take long to get stuck. Anyway, so I was so down on myself. Like, why can't you do this? I look around and before I never saw James get stuck. I never saw Rick get stuck. Those guys are superhumans. I don't even know how they
Yep.
did that. It's impossible, but they did it. But I remember I was so frustrated with myself that I can seriously say I would have rather drove it off the edge of the mountain so that it got hurt, because I was just physically, emotionally, mentally done. I was so far beyond my limit. My lungs were on fire. My body's aching. My knee hurts. My back, my head. I can't fucking breathe. That I just laid there and I was like, oh my gosh, you have to figure this out. You've got to calm down. You're going to have an anxiety attack or a panic attack. You're going to pass out. It was just so brutal. I hadn't been that broken anyway before.
Well, I will say this to you. You are 100% correct as far as Rick is concerned, and James and Carly. Oh my God, the leader of the women's group. Let me tell you, what an amazing rider. I would just look at her like, how? How is this possible? How are you riding like this? And I think James was actually bouncing from your group to my group because every time I was stuck, I was like the queen of stucky. I was stuck every 2 seconds. I
Yeah.
couldn't turn. Um, and he was so patient. I have to say, everybody was patient. The amount of patience that was required, especially for us newbies, having never done this before, and they always did it with, I just felt like there's kindness there too. Like, I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for you.
That is,
And
you were so right about that. I mean, I mentioned it on my podcast that if I were James or Rick, I would have been so annoyed
I'd be like,
with getting me out because, like, I'm worn out, but these guys have to be because they're doing the same thing, but they're also digging me out and this guy out and that
mm,
guy out. Like, they were superstars and never once. I mean, I felt bad with myself, but they didn't ever make me feel that way. They were so
yeah.
amazing and technically skilled that I just wasn't intelligent enough to understand it. I just couldn't do what they can do, even close, but they were amazing. They were
Well,
phenomenal.
I think, you touched on this before, becoming one with the machine. I didn't understand it day one. I couldn't lean right. I didn't know if I was leaning left. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I remembered, especially on day two, they said, your eyes need to go where you want to go. And that first day, I was so focused on the front of my machine. And if I was looking at a tree, I ended up in two trees. Actually, my machine, at one point, I was like, oh my God, I think I broke it. I was like uphill in a pine tree. There was actually branches of the pine tree stuck in the grill. And here
Yeah.
comes James. I'm like, did I break it? Did I break it? And you're so right. They exerted themselves because not only were they riding, but they were constantly having to unstick us and dig us out. And that requires so much energy. It's not even
It really,
funny.
I was like, help me, just help me get this effing thing turned around so that I can try to go in a straight line back to a safe place where I can sit and wait. And that's
Yeah.
finally what happened. That's finally what happened. I'm not going to lie. I got stuck going in the straight line on the way back. I just wanted to cry. I wanted to cry. I was like, I'm not even going to use words. Fuck. So I did. James, Rick, both helped me out again. And I went to the top. I'm like, I'm going to be up here. I'm going to be up there. I'm not going to move. Where's everybody going to be at? We're going to meet up there. I'm like, I'll be there. So I went up there
Well,
still. I went up there still, and I took my helmet off. It's on the snow again. Goggles are covered. I'm like, I don't even care that I can't see. I'll see a color of someone in front of me, and I'll follow that. I'm done. So I took it all off, and I sat there, and I like turned backwards and laid against the handlebars of my backpack, and I just stared. And off in the distance, what do I see? Hell, but it's so beautiful now. Like I'm not in it. I'm safely up above the meadow facing the other direction, so I don't have to go back in there ever again as far as I'm concerned. But I look off in the distance and it's the sun is out there. The snow looks so beautiful. Now the little snow
mhm.
diamonds are rising to the top of the snow. And I see the peaks of the next set of mountains over, and I'm like, this is truly miraculous. This view, you can't describe it. I took a couple of
Yeah.
pictures, and then I took a picture of me, and I was like, you look pathetic. Ugh. Like I was
Yeah,
just so done.
pictures didn't do it any justice. I too took pictures and video, but it was like somebody took a paintbrush. It was just that beautiful, and we're that high up. It was really an experience. And you talked about the experience affecting our mental or emotional. I was broken. I'm just going to tell you right now, aside from the complete exhaustion of constantly getting stuck, repeatedly, and hitting things and falling. I couldn't turn. Every time I tried to turn, I was buried in the snow. And when you're falling in the snow, you're like 4 feet in the snow, trying to get back on a machine, but have nowhere to stand, and you're packing down snow. And I was just completely depleted of energy. And but these guys and gals, unreal. But they always kept this energy up, which they were giving off to us. We often talk about energy and how important that is. And I was like, oh my God, they're so nice to me. Why are they so nice to me? I just got stuck again. I'm like the queen of stuck. And at one point, James actually said, okay, I straightened it out for you. All you got to do is go straight.
Yeah.
Guess what? 2 seconds later, boom, I'm stuck again. Or I put it into reverse. That was another thing I did. Never put the machine in reverse on fresh snow. I
You
dug
know,
myself like this.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't tell anybody, but I got real close to a tree by the creek, and I did put it in reverse, and it instantly just dropped and sank. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh no, I'm really stuck now, James."
Yeah,
So
I got
yeah,
myself in it. I think at this point it was still early on where Carly's like, "No, you just shut it down. Shut it down. Don't even throttle because the more you throttle to try to get out and up, you're just digging yourself even further down." Um, but yeah, as far as the experience goes, aside from like all of that, describing the snow and how difficult that was physically speaking, which I was not prepared for. I was not prepared for. Then you had to deal with the elevation. And I think it was probably midway through the experience, I was hyperventilating. I had reached my limit. I was hyperventilating. I was like, I can't do this. I was ready. I did cry under the helmet. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Um, but I had just had a really good digger too. I took a side and the machine fell on top of me. I was kind of buried in the snow. And I think it was Rick that came over, and I was like, please just leave me here.
Yeah.
I would have rather stayed right there than face the alternative of getting back up and riding in the meadow of hell, as I
Do
call it.
not do not get me started on I would
Ugh,
rather in snowmobiling. Sorry. Now
yeah.
I will say the trail riding, I would certainly do that again. I loved riding on the trails, and we'll talk about day two later, but I could
Mhm.
see that is a completely different experience than the backcountry. You know, like the riding that James and Blaze and Rick and Mac and those guys do. That is, that's fluffy snow, and they don't normally, go out and snow this deep. They're certainly not scared to, but they don't normally. It's not normally those conditions. I think Blaze said that our days 1 and 2 were basically his days 5 and 6 when he
Yeah.
learned. So it's, we didn't have that opportunity because of the freak, snowfall that they had the night before we got there. But
No,
yeah,
we
it's
were.
nothing can prepare you for that. And I thought, again, I've done all these things, I've done all these sports, and I'm crazy. I'm not scared of shit. But now I am. I have a respect for backcountry snowmobiling like you wouldn't believe. And for the people that do it, like you'd mentioned, Carly and James and Rick and these folks that do that and teach people to do that, that is an incredibly different set of muscles and technical skills just to do that job and to stay positive.
Yeah.
Because you've mentioned that, like we were so broken, and that's no exaggeration. And somehow, they kept that energy to keep me going because I was so negative. I wasn't filling anybody's cup. I certainly was empty. And there were a few people I came up and Toby was laughing at me. And when I saw him laughing at me, that made me feel good because I was like, I am pathetic. I am. Yes. Yes, I am.
Uh,
Thank you.
I was pathetic too. I was reaching points where I was like, can you just turn it around for me, please? Can you just get it out of here, put it there? And part of that teaching, though, was no, you got to do this. You got to learn how to do this. Although I think towards the end, they were helping me more with that. But when we talk about the challenge at hand, and I had to keep asking myself, why did Mac invite me? Why did he sign me up for this? What is he trying to break me? Because it broke me. It truly broke me physically. We could talk about that. My goodness, I was covered and still am in black and blues from the waist down. Just lots of black and blues. Everything hurt. My neck hurt. My back hurt. Couldn't touch my arms. Couldn't brush my hair that night. I
Well,
was like,
you're
oh my
coasting
gosh.
through 4 foot of snow. It's hard to walk in that stuff, and you're climbing
Yeah.
around on the machine, and you really do get battered up and then falling off. I mean, it's inevitable as a new rider. Like, I think they said that in the briefing. They're like, "Oh, everyone will fall," and I
Hmm.
was like in my mind, like, I'm about to be the first to not. I was the first too, but it really is something that it's a learning experience. It's something that you have to practice over and over to get good at it. It's definitely you're not going to jump on a snowmobile and be good at it, except for James. Like he was born bah, bah, bah,
Yep.
instead of the crying, and that's his thing. He's been doing that forever, and
Yeah.
I applaud them because it is something that's very difficult. But I
Some
will say,
amazing people. Amazing
oh,
people.
absolutely, and what a great close knit family they have too.
Yeah.
But
And Blaze, let's talk about Blaze for a minute, right?
okay, I'd love to
What
talk.
a rock star. What a rock star.
He really is. Blaze is my people, and he's got an amazing story that I look forward to meeting up and hopefully letting him tell one of these days. But I'll just say that, he's truly inspirational. Blaze is doing this as an instructor and a volunteer and a trainer and a trail guide, and he has a prosthetic leg. Like
Hmm.
I have both my legs, and yeah, nope, I can't. So
Hmm.
I got to know him, and you know, you meet some people, on the road, and a lot of people are really cool, and it's very rare that you meet someone like that that's just instant family. And the amount of just his story was amazing. He's truly a caring individual, and yeah, we connected, and that really helped me get more comfortable day two, to be honest. Um, yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah. You're so right. It was immediately reciprocated. Immediately. reciprocated, like, I really like him, you know. But I have to say that happened with so many of the connections we made. And then, of course, you know, as the time that we spent there went on, we formed even stronger relationships with some.
Oh,
But, you
absolutely.
know, day one was brutal. Day one was brutal. It kicked my butt all over that mountain. I literally felt like a dish rag. Like I was done. I was at by the end. I was like, I'm done. I'm never doing this again.
I remember, I told you I was sitting there and I was done and I was taking in the mountain and Toby was laughing at me. I was so happy to hear you guys coming back because that meant I knew we were going um, back to the lodge. And so Toby took off. I'm like, I'll follow him. Toby's a first air and he's confident enough to drive on the trail. I'll go really slow behind him and be safe. So we drove up to back to that heating lodge is where we all rallied up. And I was so happy to see you guys all come back and because I was so broken and I was like, I hope I'm the only one that was just crushed in every way. But there you all come and I could see it.
I don't think you
Well,
saw me.
I did see you guys come back up because they waited till everyone came, and then once everyone got up there, then we all started single file back. But to be completely honest with you, at that point, I was like, everybody's back, we're done. Now we're gonna head back. That was a blur. Like literally, the only thing I remember on the way back was it was just bumpy, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't care. We're on our way back. How far away are we? And I was actually cold at this point because I was so sweaty from working all damn day. Like this was the point where, we stayed out a little longer than we had anticipated because everybody was having so much fun getting the S kicked out of them.
And I was
Yeah,
actually the last on that trail back. And
yeah,
that's why
you
I'm like, I
were.
don't think you didn't see me right away because I was actually with Mac and I was with Rick. And I'm gonna say it, Mac. He pulls me over. He's like, "All right, we're gonna go 24 miles an hour down this, okay? Don't give me no sass." I looked at him. I'm like, "Yeah." At this point, I'm there. I'm frustrated. My nose is cold. It was running all day, by the way. Very attractive. And I think I throttled it to like 30, and boom, off I go, right on top of that mountain, the side of the mountain on the snowbank, rolled over twice. And at this point, I think I'm just bursting out laughing, like, oh my God, I just saw my life flash before my eyes. And my ex like, you good? I'm like, I don't know. Can we go back? And I later found out, I looked at Rick and I was like, how much longer? And he said, 2 more miles. I think I was probably like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And he said, I lied to you. I said, I figured that because it took forever to get back.
Yeah.
So I couldn't wait to get back. I just couldn't. But it gave me some kind of feeling to see that you were broken and others were sore. I'm like, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the
Yeah.
only one. So I felt better about myself because I did feel like a complete loser the entire time. I can't stay on the machine. I did so much cursing on that mountain because
Oh,
I was yelling at the snow, just yelling at the snow.
oh yeah. I was cursing myself. I was hard on
Yeah.
myself. Like I was like, how come you can't figure this out? Like you are being such a crybaby sissy. Oh, now you hurt too. Wah. So yeah, I was when I got back to the room. I had to, I actually had to do a workout to kind of release some of that anger. I was so pissed at myself that I ended up just doing a workout, and then I had to take a shower. Because we were going to meet back up for supper. But I was like, I cannot go talk to people right now. If I go talk to people, I'm just going to cuss. I'm going to talk shit about myself. Like, I'm not okay. I really wasn't. I wasn't okay for a minute, and I had to redirect some of that energy, and really reflect on everything that had happened for the day.
I will say this, even before we got back, I will say my moment with myself, and I think this is important to make reference to, so much of what happened there, the physical difficulty, the challenge in itself, the mental piece was really rough for me. I did a lot of praying. I was like, please, God, get me off this mountain. Please let me get back in one piece. But when I became really emotional, I want to share this with you because I hope that our friends from the actual weekend hear it. What really got me emotional was they just kept coming back, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they just kept coming back. And it was this feeling, overwhelming feeling of they're never going to leave me here, which was my fear. Like I'm on top of this mountain. I don't know what I'm doing. All I keep doing is falling. I'm buried in the snow. And no matter who it was, they just kept coming back. And it left me, and I talked about this actually on the Sunny Side of Freedom Live on TikTok. And I said, that's something I will forever take with me, was the feeling of someone was always coming back. You're never going to be left. And that emotional, it was overwhelming for me. It was just really overwhelming. I'm not used to that out here in society.
Yeah, you don't see that every day, and you certainly don't rely on that every day. And I
Hmm.
did feel the same thing, and we all came back together. That was a
Yeah.
big thing. Like that was amazing, and they were so patient and so helpful. And you're right. I knew that no matter what, they might stop being patient with me, but they'll get me back.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was something new for me. So I just wanted to say a huge shout out to them and much love to you for having the patience and love for every single one of us to keep doing what they were doing all day. Because it was an all day thing. Complete badasses. And you're right. When I got back, I was done. I was like, I can't even have a conversation. I need to gather my thoughts. What just happened to me today? Oh my God, I have to do this again tomorrow. That's the other thing that kept running in my head. Like, we got to do this again tomorrow. That's like insane, insane.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But I got my stuff together, and I composed myself well enough to go up to supper. And I remember sitting in the back of the room and just kind of scanning the room to see how everybody's doing. And off the bat, from the get go, I saw yawns. I saw it in people's eyes, and I knew like, oh, this might be an early night. It might be an early night for folks. Because I didn't, I
Yeah.
sat in the back and I just started drinking water. I just hydrated, and I drank 2 pitchers of water at least. But I remember I struggled. I was like, this is going to take energy to talk to people, and I'm not very positive right now. So I don't know how this night's going to go. You know.
Yeah. I know for myself, when I got together with the girls, we were comparing swollen knees. Both myself and Kelly were like, oh, yours are bad too, huh? And trying to figure out how we're going to alternate our knee braces to take the swelling down. I mean, the physical beat up of the day was very apparent. And it wasn't just on me. I mean, um, we also had a few others who had ridden in the past, but it was like getting back on and the conditions of the snow and whatnot. But you're right, the energy in the room was like, yeah, you could tell. It was a rough day for many, and we were all going to bed after dinner. For sure, for sure.
Yeah. I did have some good conversations. I didn't want to do this whole experience and then just sit there quiet like the Grinch in the back of the room or Oscar the
Yeah,
Grouch. So, um, I powered through and I started to talk to some folks and got to know some really amazing people. That's actually the event that I started to talk to Blaze, and I had some good conversations with James. And I finally, I even talked to Cody, and I got to know all the founders behind All American Heroes and really hear their story of why they are doing what they do, how they got into that, and why it's important to them.
yeah,
And it really, for me, kind of validated, okay, these are real guys with a real purpose, and I'm 100%, I see what they're doing, and I'm 100% on board with helping support that. And I didn't know, at that time, the full experience of how it was going to impact my life, but I could tell that they were doing something that was greater than themselves. Like they were really wanting to help many people.
perfectly said. And even listening to Aaron and listening to all the trips they had already done, weekends in different areas, and they were going to be doing another one following ours. I was like, oh my goodness. But then you look at everyone that's involved and participated, it's like, wow, this is something so much bigger than just saying all American heroes. It's affecting so many lives. I mean, I walked away from this experience like it's an experience I'll never forget. I will never forget it. Not because I went through it, but all the people that you meet and the stories and the connections.
Absolutely. For me, it was certainly the people and the stories that they told me, and just what a great group of folks, and what an exciting adventure to go through together. But that was one day, day one.
Yeah, day one. Did you want to talk about day two?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I love day two. And
So
I'll
we can
tell you
definitely talk
what,
about day two.
yeah, we have to. So day
Mm-hmm.
two, we started off much like day one, except for way more hurt. Like slower. My knee. I walked a little bit slower, and I'm scared because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, deep snow. Don't even look at me, mofo. Get away. So I went down to the cabin. I'm a little scared. Like, hopefully there's another thing, and that was just a joke. But went down to the cabin, had a little bit of breakfast, talked, did our briefing like we did the day before. But this day we had different groups. They actually split us up into three groups, and there was like experienced riders, and then a training group that was gonna go back to the meadows. Who would who? Ugh. And then there was
Why?
another group
Just
of
why?
people. I don't know. I don't. There's not one good reason I can answer that for you. No, but then
Nope.
the other group was actually our group with Mac, and that group was gonna just do some trail riding for the day, and I was like,
Yep.
put me in that group. In that group, just stay away from snow.
Well, I will say this, and I went into the day saying, nope, I'm not going out. I'm going to sit back. I mean, honestly, that's how defeated I felt. I'm going to stay back and have coffee all day. Maybe I'll go snowshoeing. I think one of the girls actually said, well, if you're not coming, they're in the room. I'm like, okay. And then the minute I tell Carly, she's like, well, let's talk about this. Somehow, some way, she manages to convince me. We actually pinky swore. She's like, all right, let's pinky swear. And of course, Mac was a part of this group. And I'm thinking, I'm going out for 2 hours. I'll be back. I got this. It's only the trail riding. And we managed to be out there like all day and loved it.
We really did, but I want to call out that
Yeah.
entire group because it was such a great group. There was yourself, myself. We had Mac as one of the leads. We had Blaze as one of the leads. We had
Yep.
Kristen with us, and we had Toby.
Yep.
So Toby was a first timer, like yourself and myself, and then Kristen actually lived for a while up on Arrowhead Lodge, but now I think she stays at the base of the same mountain. But
Yep.
she's somewhat familiar, certainly on a snowmobile, but definitely more so than the rest of us, minus the leads. But just a great group. It was a smaller group than I was with the day before, so that made it a little bit more fun, a little more intimate because we could stop and see more things. But
We,
yeah,
we actually got to go to the ghost town, which was really cool.
that
And I
was.
think we actually, that was cool. A bunch of abandoned, would you call them abandoned? Yeah, they're abandoned
Oh, for
cottages
sure.
or log cabins. It was
Yeah,
beautiful though.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was one that looked like a tree had fallen through, and there was just so much snow. It looked so beautiful with the trees in the background. There was
Hmm.
one that had an outhouse. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we stopped to get some photo opportunities with that, and um, kind of just explore the mountain. And it was all on trail.
Hmm.
There was already some pre-made trails that we stayed on, and yeah, it was a really good time. And I remember on the way back though, um, Mac and Blaze had, they would always take off the trail, and they would go
Yeah.
through the snow and into the snow and then back out of the snow sideways and stuff, crazies, and to cool their machines down because they were going so hard all day. And
Yep.
I remember, you know, Toby was out there going through some deeper snow, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, if I'm gonna get stuck, this is the group I want to get stuck with. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like we were so close at this point. We've been trail riding together all day. We've developed some relationships, friendships. We even did a TikTok video together
Yeah, let's
that
talk
day.
about that. We did our TikTok plank, absolutely, with Mac. We
Yeah,
did it
we
on the
did.
top of the mountain.
You had to drag him over, and I had to scream at him to get down. But you know what? He did it.
He did it. He
Better
most definitely
together.
did it.
Hashtag better together.
Hashtag better together. Match my energy.
You.
But what was awesome about that specific spot was we had our lunch. We had Toby there playing the harmonica.
Playing the harmonica, Amazing Grace, beautifully. Just
Right?
What a moment. It was a beautiful location,
Beautiful.
great people. We were just, talking it up. It was so fun. It
It
was so
really
good.
was. It felt very relaxing day two. I didn't feel the high level of anxiety. I didn't feel like, please just leave me here in the snow. It was just like, okay, I got this. But I will say, even that day, we rode 44 miles. My thumb and my hand were still swollen from the throttle because you have to keep it at a certain speed, and brap, 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 brap.
Right.
Yeah, to keep it cool. But so there was still some exhaustion there because you're still physically having to do something.
Oh yeah.
It's not like, yeah, but that was an amazing experience. And I think, on a few occasions, Mac would turn around and he'd hold up his hand, like, where are we? Where are we? Um, five, four, three, just
Yeah.
to kind of give an indication of where we were on energy, whether we needed to go back or continue. And I have to say, for the small group that we were, everyone's like, five, let's keep
Yeah.
going.
I'm a 10. A 10. But yeah, on the way back, when they were doing that brapping around and Toby did it, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Screw it. I'm gonna try it out. And so I turned from the road, from the trail, because I
Yep.
don't turn in snow, and I just got on it. And I went through and I was like, holy shit, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And so I went through the meadow-ish and then back onto the road, and I turned around on the road and I was like, whoa, I'm doing it again. And I hammered it back through just to say that I did it. And then Blaze rides up like, T-post, T-post. I'm like, oh, cool, yeah. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. So I get back to the road. He's like, yeah, man, you were riding next to some T-posts. Got a fence under it,
Yep.
little barbed wire. Don't want to hit that? I'm like, well, I didn't, but I'll stay out. I'm never doing it again. You saw me do it. It happened. Never doing that again.
And I sat there on the side of the road having a conversation with myself, like, oh, you should really go in the meadow. You should really go experience it. And then I'm like, no, you really shouldn't because you haven't fallen today. So just stay here and watch.
And we were on the way back. Like, why
Yeah,
break
I was like,
yourself now? I get it. I really
but
do. I was in
I
one
felt
of those, fuck it. I don't care if I crash moments.
I felt left
Oh,
out though, like I should really go try it. And it was literally like I was having this conversation, this dialogue with myself the whole time. I'm watching Toby, I'm watching Mac, I'm watching Blaze, I'm watching even Kristen got out there. And
oh
I'm just
yeah.
like, no, I think I'm good. I did a lot
Well,
of
Sonny,
falling yesterday.
you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Well, I think I took a lot of them the day before.
Ah, okay. Holy hell.
Oh my
But
God.
anyway, yeah. No, right after that though, like it was amazing. It wasn't a blur going back. It was still bumpy as hell. It was still a
Yeah.
bumpy as hell ride back. But it
Yeah.
was amazing, and we got back a little bit earlier, I think, than the other groups. And
Not
we
by
got
much
back
though. I don't
not by
think by
much. I think
much.
they came back like 15 or 20 minutes after we did. But yeah, we put on some miles still, and we saw a lot of sights. And the mountains are just a vast, beautiful,
Hmm.
m- just mystical place, really.
Really, honestly, unless you're up there, like even now, looking back at some of the video footage or photos, I'm like, we were really up there. Like we really rode up there. It was pretty cool.
We did.
What an experience, honest to God. And even having everyone come back, especially my lead, from the Carly, she's like, how'd you do? And I sent her a message, said it was the happiest thing to read, which was like, I had a great day. She was so happy because I
Aw.
felt so defeated earlier in the morning. And I was literally having a conversation. I was convincing myself I was not going out. So to come back from that and say I had a great day, she was so super happy. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Stepping outside our comfort zone, which we did,
We
and
certainly did.
we got back on the horse.
Well, I mean, I took a lot away from it, like we really did overcome a lot. It really pushes you to your limits, not just physically like you would think, but it really is more mental than I think that
Hmm.
anybody could possibly understand. Try it out, but we weren't alone either, like it breaks you in all these ways, but you have support. There's a group of professionals there. Like, just for example, Rick, man, like I've been in the military. I retired from the military after 20 years. I was in expeditionary medical facilities, which is like a MASH unit for the Navy. But Rick, I could just tell from his training and experiences, there was nothing he wasn't prepared for. Like there was no amount of injury that I could sustain that he couldn't easily handle, and I knew that. And he was such a great guy, big guy, but I was confident in his abilities. So I think there's something to that, just knowing that the people there are truly top of their skill set, and they're there for you. And like you mentioned, they were very patient. They were always there, and that really helped with the overall experience. But you're never alone. Everybody was going
Mhm.
through it. We came back at the end of the day together. We talked about an experience. We shared an amazing, incredible experience, and probably one that not everyone gets to have because of the freakish amount of snow. But nevertheless, you know, we bonded. We really
We did.
created just another family, one that was so close that we actually, we shed tears, we had hugs, we've exchanged contact information, and I met some people that I'll probably stay in touch with for life.
Yeah.
So you, it's really hard to say that I just took this away from this experience. I took away a bunch of relationships and an amazing experience that, like you said, I'll never forget. So
Right.
big shout out to All American Heroes, big shout out to Albany Lodge, big shout out to Arrowhead Lodge for all the people, the machines, the training, and the overall experience. Thank you all very much.
Yes, I doubled that, honestly. Just knowing that you had this support, and it wasn't just physical support, the emotional support, the constant rooting you on after a fall, just constantly like, you got this, you're doing great. I'm like, what? I just planted another one. I'm
No, I'm a
like,
fucking idiot. I can't figure it out. Hate
I'm
me.
like, I'm,
I hate
I'm
me.
like,
You should too. Man,
I
gross.
hated myself. I was like, loser, big loser. But we survived it. We got through it. And realizing afterwards, I'm like, what did I just do? I'm non-military, so I've never even had that kind of degree of, I don't know, beat up or whatever you want to call it in any type of training, other than like circuit training, gym training, which can beat you up. But this is something different. The amount of pain I was in was just like head to toe, head to toe. And I was like, wow, I survived that. I got home, no broken bones. I was so happy. Um, but as far as those connections, you're right. We definitely made connections. We have contacts. Even the women's group, we have, multi group connection there. We're texting each other since we've left, which is kind of cool. So those are friendships that I think we can hang on to for quite some time. And I'm very grateful to Mac. Um, Although, Mac, I will say that while on the mountain, I kept saying, why? Why would you invite me to this? Why would you want me to be a part of this beating? Because it felt like one. Somebody took a bat and just said, here you go. Here's some more black and blues.
It really was an ass whooping. Like, Mac, you could have just said, hey, I
Yeah.
want to kick your ass, and we could have tried it that way. Would have hurt less for me, anyways, hopefully. Either
I
way.
think
Yeah.
I think if somebody had asked me, "Hey, you want to get in the ring?" I would be like, "Yes, I'm coming right now."
Yeah.
Because at least in the ring you can fight, right?
And you know what
Out
to
in the
expect.
snow,
You know where
yes,
it's the pain is going to come from. On a snowmobile, it could come from, oh, I'm flying off, I'm falling over. The snowmobile is going this way. It might pull you with it, or you can eject. Yeah, you never know. You don't.
yeah.
It's scary. It's scary.
It's scary and it was funny too. I think one of my silly falls, you watched it actually, and I'm coming around the corner and I just fall over for no reason.
You fell off. Slide. Fell off the side of the machine and slide. I'm like, well, at least it's not stuck. You don't have to dig
Yeah,
it out.
I wasn't stuck. I was still tethered to. And you're like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I can't
There you
explain
go.
it. No
Oh goodness.
explanation. But day two, finishing out day two, I felt like I had achieved something great. It was like, it's over, but we survived it and we got through it. We went back out. We had a better story to tell, and
Certainly a
I
more
felt proud.
positive one.
Yeah, more positive, and I felt proud of myself. I did feel that. I felt proud of myself. Something that exceeded something I would probably go out and do. Um, but I was like, I did that. So that was kind of cool. And I couldn't wait to come home and tell my kids, my friends, my colleagues. Um, so I was super excited about that. But that last dinner that we had with the group was also very awesome and something I take with me um, from that trip specifically. I think we had some amazing moments as a group. And, as Max said, All American Hero family. And we really are. You become a part of this family because you share so much. It was intimate moments with one another, which was something that you don't get to forget. You take those moments with you.
Yeah, and it's not something you get every day, but because of the experience that we shared and what we'd endured together, even with the pros, not just us first timers, everybody was sharing, everybody was super comforting and loving. Like I said, we shed tears. There was hugging, there was smiling, there was laughing, there was teamwork. Even after that, we did some exercises, and people really pulled together, and everyone really participated and had fun.
Yeah. We really did. We really did. And I think we were all obviously just happy to be reunited once again and see everybody's face there. We all survived the day, broken, but we did, you know. But it was awesome. And we actually had, I think it was like a little ladies' happy hour. The ladies are like, it's happy hour. I'm like, okay. Um, it was great. It was great. Many friendships were made, many taken away from that experience. And once again, big shout out to All American Heroes and what they continue to do. Their mission, that's right, All American Heroes, and that we got to be a part of that. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Absolutely, and I would be interested in other opportunities. Maybe something on a side by side. Not sure about
Yeah,
backcountry. I would do trail rides. Yeah, but
something
what an,
easy, something easy.
something that's not going to kick the shit out of me like that.
Take me sightseeing. Just take me sightseeing. I'll take binoculars,
I'll
but
put in
nothing
work.
that
I just don't
aggressive.
want, I'll put in some work. I just don't want to be broke in every way again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else, my friend? What else? What else can we recap to conclude?
I think we did a phenomenal job covering, the All American
Yeah.
Heroes and the experience and the relationships. What would you say your biggest takeaway as you've come home? Like, how have you been able to apply what you learned there into your everyday life?
Well, honestly, I think for me, many things happened for me from that trip. Number one was no matter how great the challenge is, I know that I can do it. It really was a um, huge mental piece to everything. And I immediately found myself, I literally rolled into work the next day, having flown in. And one of my colleagues was actually having a really rough morning. And I found myself giving her advice based on challenge. And it was all coming right from my experience, all of it, every single piece of it. And so I take that away, that often we doubt ourselves and the challenges is that we're faced with, whether it be work, friendships, our children, our relationships with people, even what's going on in the day. It could be a flat tire, you know? And right away, we're so quick to just like feel defeated. And what I realized was like, just put in the work, no matter how hard it is. And that's exactly what we did, what it required from us. Even if it breaks you, you're gonna be okay. And that's what I took away from that. No matter what challenge comes my way going forward, I know that I'll get through it, no matter how hard it is.
Well said. That was beautiful. And I can definitely relate. I feel like, you know, along what you said, it really was a confidence booster for myself
Mm-hmm.
because, we did take a hell of a beating and we consistently persevered and we made it back. And it really was a reminder for me to keep being yourself. You can't be someone else on a snow machine. You're only as good as you are. And, I realized where I want to focus my energy and the things that I need to do that, to just be me. I mean, I really did have a complete self reflection on that mountain, just a complete breakdown and a reevaluation of who I am and what's important to me. And it was a reminder of that and the actions that I need to take moving forward to do the things that I need to do. So really, really resonated with me and reminded me of the things that are important in my life.
Beautifully stated. Beautiful. And you're 100% right. Be yourself because everyone else is taken, you know?
That's right. Stay
And
true to you.
those that love you are going to gravitate to you, the right ones, as we often say. Know your tribe, right? And those that don't, then I look at life now, I'm like, you're lost. I don't know what to say, you know?
Right.
But most definitely, put a lot of things into perspective. Put a lot of things into perspective, and no challenge is too great. You will come out, even if you're a little banged up, as I was. Even
That's
a
right.
little banged up.
You
Yeah.
live, you live to fight another day, and you're not alone. You know, better
Yeah.
together.
Better together. That's right. Match my energy. Keep matching energy, my friend. Well, thank you so much, Chief, for coming on to the Sunny Side of Freedom podcast this evening and to kind of recap and reflect on our experience with All American Heroes. It really was an amazing experience. And I did tell Mac, if he invites me to the next one, bring me to the top of the mountain. I will sit there with hot chocolate in a nice warm tent and I'll wave you guys on. Yeah, most definitely.
I say, keep me
But
out of the deep snow, Mac, and then let's do some desert tan and some olive greens on these shirts, buddy.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you again. As always, stay sunny, stay spicy, always make it count. Keep being you. You're pretty awesome.
Thank
Pretty
you. And
awesome.
be
Huge
the
fan.
change you seek. Be the change you want to see.
Lead the way, lead in love. That's right. And we saw a lot of that on this experience, leading in love. That's exactly what we saw by all of our friends with All American Heroes. So, that being said, my friend, I'm going to say thank you once more. Much love, much respect. Until the next one.
Till the next one. Chief
Until the
out.
next one. Chief out.
It's hard-winded.
The red, white, blue flying way up high, and we stand and salute to the ones that fight, and we don't give a damn if you don't like this American pride, American pride. We're gonna fly this flag till the day I die.